Hello, everyone. This is JPL, and today I'm joined with
Jay.
And Christopher.
yes, and we're a podcast name in brackets back for the monthly edition of the top five. And this month we're talking about the top five films of 2012, which is a very big, influential year for Hollywood, for good and bad, mostly bad, depending on who you ask. But yeah, Jay, tell us.
Yeah, this was just personally a very big year for me. I turned 13, so I could watch PG-13 movies. My parents let me watch some PG-13 movies, but this was when I was allowed to now. So that was a big thing. This is also the year that I saw my first movie in theaters without being accompanied by an adult. John and my friend Toa went, or no, my friend Toa, who John is also friends with. John was not involved in this process, but the two of us went to go and see Lincoln. I don't know why, but yeah, that
This
was fun.
was this was also the year we met, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, this year or yeah, 2000 or maybe like 2011,
12. No.
12.
Yeah, 12.
How does time work? It doesn't. Anyway, yeah, this is also when I started watching movie YouTube channels and keeping up with
Ah,
movie news. So this was like a big year. I knew about like the Avengers set leaks and the Dark Knight Rises set leaks, which were a big deal that everyone's forgotten about. But yeah, no, this was an influential year for me, and also just the movies that were coming out. This was sort of when franchises kind of started to really take over in a way that they hadn't before. Yeah, speaking of which, the top 10 worldwide box office is all franchise movies. Avengers, obviously, big movie. This is actually the first year to have four movies making over $1 billion. We have
oh wow.
Avengers, we have Skyfall, Dark Knight Rises, and The Hobbit: An Unexpected Journey, all making a ton of money. A lot of sequels, Ice Age sequel in here, Twilight sequel in here, Amazing Spider-Man, this reboot, and then of course the start of the Hunger Games also making it in here.
Yeah.
Oh, and the Madagascar 3, which I have not seen, but is co-written by Noah Baumbach.
All right.
I believe a for hire type writing gig, but I haven't watched it, so maybe it has his fingerprints all over it. I don't know. And yeah, in terms of awards, Argo wins Best Picture, and Amour becomes the 10th film not in the English language to get a Best Picture nomination. There wouldn't be another until Roma in 2018, but since then there have been additional 9. So Amour was the 10th, and now there have been 10 since Amour in the however many years that has been. So kind of a cool milestone though there. And yeah, Amour actually wins the Palme d'Or that year, and we have Avengers beating out Twilight. Um, for the MTV Movie Awards, the previous MTV Movie Awards had gone to the Twilight movies, but not this final one. But Twilight still wins a consolation prize. It wins the Razzie for Worst Picture. I think unfairly, but that's, I mean, the Razzies for you. Um, and Pieta becomes the first Korean film to win a major European festival award with the
Oh my
Golden
gosh.
Lion.
Oh my gosh. That's Kimki Duck right there.
Yeah, yeah. Someone who Christopher has talked about a few times
Yes.
on
Unfortunately, I
this
have not seen
series.
this movie yet, so sad to not contribute to that. But yeah, that's Kimki Duck. Sorry.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
get excited with Kimki Duck.
Well, then why don't we get started with our number fives?
Yeah, so my number 5, stick with me. I felt a little bit like maybe this was too pretentious to put here. This isn't maybe my 5th favorite on a pure like enjoyment basis, but I felt like I have so much to say about it that I couldn't relegate it to the honorable mentions here. So that's why I'm talking about it here. This is The Act of Killing, which is a documentary by Joshua Oppenheimer, co-directed by Christine Sin and an anonymous Indonesian co-director. And this is sort of getting into a history that I wasn't at all familiar with. But in 1965 and 66, there was a violent foreign backed military coup in Indonesia. Suspected communists were rounded up and tortured and killed. And the people responsible for those killings are to this day treated like heroes. Some very violent, and there wasn't any due process in these things. It was basically anyone who was suspected of having any sort of anti-government sentiment. Horrible situation. But then 40 years after the killings, um, Joshua Oppenheimer and his team come in, and they invite several of the men responsible to make a movie that reenacts their killings, their actions during this time. And as they make the movie, these men start to sort of reevaluate what they did and kind of wonder if what they did was wrong. And it's just such a fascinating look into the minds of people who committed these horrible atrocities as they're, reenacting the tortures and the horrible killings that they did. It's a very important document, just in terms of like putting this on film and showing the psychological toll that this has taken. Um, it's also just this like really interesting use of the documentary medium, like playing with this idea of reenactment and using it as a tool to bring about this sort of emotional reevaluation of these people's pasts and what they have done. And it's also, Joshua Oppenheimer actually got close with some of these people, and so he's exploiting his own personal relationship with these people, to kind of dig deeper and force them to introspect a little bit more. Um, it's also very influential. There's a moment at the end of the film that I'm pretty sure inspired the ending of The Zone of Interest. They are very, very similar. Um, it's not always the easiest film to watch, not just for the subject matter, but there is no narration and very minimal on-screen text. So I like it, but as someone unfamiliar with the history of it, it was kind of difficult to keep track of what was going on at all times. I think the emotions though still shine through, no matter how familiar you are with the history. The emotions really, and just again these reenactments that are bringing up um, these emotions. And one guy is sort of reenacting this thing of torturing, but he is now in the situation of the person being tortured, and even though it's just a reenactment, he has like a panic attack of realizing what he has done to other people.
Wow.
Yeah, it is this massively important film. And then this director, because there was a lot of criticism at the time of, why is he centering the perspective of the people who did these atrocities and not the victims? But Joshua Oppenheimer actually a couple of years later released something that he had filmed at around the same time that was specifically about the victims and survivors. So I haven't seen that one yet, but it is on my list of things to get around to before we do that year. John, I assume you aren't familiar with this one.
Yeah, you know me.
I don't know. I guess I have a little mental stigma against documentary films. Typically, I
Okay.
guess, more or less. Um, Still, I would argue films are a newer thing to me. So when I think of a documentary film, I think of a standard boring documentary film, and maybe this is in said kind of style. I'm definitely aware that some documentary films break out of the standard formula, but this sounds very intriguing, and you got me to add it to my watch list.
I will say, if you want to change your perspective on documentaries, seek out the film Free Solo.
Free
Free
Solo.
Solo.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that one is more a standard documentary, but it is made with such an energy that it's very investing. But yeah, the act of killing is very different from a standard documentary. It is a little long and slow, so that can be difficult. But again, there isn't traditional narration. So, it's not a person narrating while there's images on the screen of people in the Civil War. It is actually engaging with these people. And yeah, it is very fascinating and worth checking out. But also, I do want to let people know that it is a heavier film, and also one that, if you aren't super familiar with the history, you may be a little bit lost, as I was.
Mhm. I think also like because I tend to mentally think about like movies more for like a fiction, not always fictional, but fictional narrative, and I feel like I
Yeah,
go to other sources to like get information that's not as narrative driven, and so I guess I'm like, oh, instead of watching a documentary, I could have read that information. I guess is almost like the thought I have.
yeah,
I guess I tend to think of like books more for like, oh, I yeah, actually on that note, like I don't even really think I know books. There's a lot of fictional books, but I don't really read fictional books. If I'm to read books, I usually read for information. So I almost have like that divide of like books are
yeah,
information and movies are narratives. So I guess I've that plays into how I feel about documentaries, and I think like I'm in a position where like I want to watch movies like The Godfather because I haven't seen The Godfather yet, and
yeah,
haven't
yeah.
really expanded myself yet to like okay now it's time for documentaries. But I don't want to completely be like I'm never watching documentaries. I don't want that to be me.
Yeah. And what the act of killing is doing is something that is very difficult to get across in just sort of a more informational text. It is actually using the cinematic medium in a very interesting way.
Hmm.
And I will say the same for Free Solo. And there's a lot of documentaries out there, but yeah, I definitely understand if what you have engaged with most is the sort of the history class documentary. Um, yeah,
Yeah, which
those are a little bit dry.
yeah, which I'm not saying they're bad, but I guess that's my conception of a documentary.
Yeah,
Perception,
yeah.
perception. All right. Before I get into my list, I'll just give a little preface prior to diving into the year 20. That's crazy. Me seeing diving into year 2012. um, before, I barely watched any movies from the year 2012, and then I laughed about me saying diving into year 2012 because I basically didn't. So my list is pretty threadbare throughout, but I found some good picks. So my number 5 could easily be knocked out by a different movie, but I had fun with it. Number 5 is The Dictator, Sasha Baron Cohen. Um, I don't I don't think I've seen. I haven't seen Borat. I've seen Talladega Nights, but I feel like that's the only movie where I've seen him in a lead of sorts. So this is my first time actually seeing him as a lead. I had fun with it. There are definitely some scenes where I was dying laughing, and some scenes where it plays into that typical comedy of like I just don't care about this scene, where it's just like so formulaic or whatever. You're just like I don't care, um, but I had fun with it. That's really all it is. I honestly, I remember wanting to see this movie because I know Bobby Lee is in it. You know, around that time when I was aware of this movie, I've been watching a little bit of Bobby Lee here and there, so it's fun to see him in the movie. He's barely in the movie, but it's still fun. So yeah, just a movie I kind of wanted to see, and I finally got around to. And yeah, that was one of the few movies I discovered this month.
Yeah, I remember the trailer for this one, but I I have seen one of the second Borat movie, and I've seen Bruno, and I liked one and disliked the other. So I've never been a super big fan of his shtick. But yeah, I am kind of intrigued to see this one, just as like, oh, I remember watching the trailer and
Hmm.
being like, what is this?
I had an opposite effect where I remember watching the trailer and being like, this is kind of in bad taste, and then never looking back. So,
My enjoyment of South Park has ruined me forever. So
you poor boy.
I am a poor
Uh,
little boy. I think again, like I don't know much about Cohen, but it's a the movie isn't just complete comedy. You know, there's some commentaries here and
Yeah.
there. So you know, it's not a complete just like, oh, we're just doing things just to do things. Like, you know, there's parallels to be made, and the movie makes some parallels. So yeah.
Well, moving on to my number 5, we have The Hunger Games. Very big influential film in that this kind of started a lot of the young adult dystopian film adaptation craze. Because then, after this success, there's like, oh, let's do Divergent series or let's do The Giver, and have it not do well. This also kind of brought people's attention to Jennifer Lawrence, where before people were like, who is that blue girl in X-Men? Now it's like, Katniss, yes, Jennifer Lawrence, that makes sense. I enjoyed the Hunger Games films, at least half of them. Uh, this was interesting conceptually to me when I watched it. That was fun. It's not fun, but interesting. Uh, so yeah, there.
Have you seen this one, Christopher?
I've not. I feel like that maybe if I watched it back in the day, it would have been fun, but that's not going to stop me from watching it in the future. It's like,
Yeah.
I'm curious. I like some Jennifer Lawrence. And back, 8 years ago, there was a little bit of that YA itch that
Yeah.
could
Yeah.
still, you know, be itched today. Maybe not as much as it was 8 years ago, but I think there's still a possibility I could still find some enjoyment from it. I think there's a strong possibility that I might go through the movies before the new one. I guess next
Oh,
year.
okay. Yeah.
There's a Blu-ray set at Walmart that I've been eyeing for months. I might finally just pick up one day. So
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I will say that I'm a massive Hunger Games fan. Just generally, it has had a big
Yeah.
impact on my life.
Yeah.
It is a cut above the rest when it comes to YA. Suzanne Collins is a very strong writer who is very intentional with how she is writing and the ideas that she is exploring. In a way that, like, as someone who fell in love with the Hunger Games series in like middle school and then went to college and studied politics and international relations, revisiting the series in doing that, I was like, oh, I am connecting stuff that I am learning about in my class back to the Hunger Games and things that Suzanne Collins is exploring in the Hunger Games about like the state of nature as like a way of justifying political power and tyranny. And yeah, it's just very interesting to me. I will say this movie is, for me, a very solid adaptation, but one that has certain challenges. The camera work was
Yeah.
very shaky. They were worried about not getting a PG-13 rating because this is a movie about kids killing kids. So the way that they dealt with that is they shook the camera so much that you couldn't see any of the moments of violence, and also were maybe getting a little bit of motion sickness from the sequels tamp that down a whole lot and are a little bit better on, or a lot of bit better on that. Um, but yeah, I mean, Jennifer Lawrence, at this point, she was an Academy Award nominee for Winter's Bone, but she was still not super well known in the mainstream. And this was sort of her breakout. And she actually wins the Oscar this year for Silver Linings Playbook.
mm.
Um, but yeah, she is wonderful. She is very, very good in this role. And the supporting cast is also really good.
Mm-hmm.
um,
Yeah.
not fully related, but there's a movie I watched this year called House on Eden. I think it was called. That was
Okay.
like a found footage horror film. And so the first half is they're just holding the freaking camera and carrying it. And, oh my gosh! And I already had a headache going into that movie.
uh,
So thankfully, the second half, they finally like set the camera like on the table as the spooky things happen. But I was just like, so I wonder which will be worse.
yeah,
uh,
this isn't found footage level, but it is like it gets a little bit extreme at times with the Hunger Games. Yeah.
Depends. Yeah. I'd say it's not as obvious as like the found footage stuff where it's more shaky, but yeah.
Yeah, this is less like the camera is moving a whole lot and more like there isn't any like motion stabilization on the camera.
Ah, okay.
Where like found footage tends to be like a lot of movement. I don't know. I don't watch a ton of found footage, so maybe there's a commonality between the two. But yeah, Hunger Games. I would recommend it as like the cream of the crop in terms of these YA. Like there's a reason that the YA genre died out after the Hunger Games stopped coming out, and that's because it was the Hunger Games. None of the other series
Yeah.
were as good as the Hunger Games was.
Even though the source material was very good, the adaptations just weren't.
I mean, I don't know if the source material for the Maze Runner is great, but yeah.
I was actually
Sorry,
surprised.
it's
Hunger Games
fine.
was not in my watch list, so I corrected that. I'm
Okay.
surprised. By the way, I've crossed 4,000 films in my watch list.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
It's never going to be finished.
But I'm
be
okay with that.
all-consuming.
Like, I think especially with Letterboxd, like because of like the service filterings, especially like doing these things, like okay, 2013 services I have, give me a list. It's just more like a tool for me than I feel the obligation to watch through them all. So
Yeah.
that's how I feel about it. It just cuts through the crap for me.
But yeah, my number 4 is I always feel bad bringing up this movie because I don't know. I don't like being identified as an Evangelion fan, even though I enjoy Evangelion. I just feel like there's a stereotype in that I don't want to be associated with. But yeah, Evangelion 3.0, you cannot redo. This is directed by Hideaki Anno, Mahiro Maeda, Kazuya Surumaki, and Masayuki. Whole lot of directors here, and written by Hideaki Anno, of course. And yeah, this is I won't get too much into the plot because this is kind of deep within the series, but this is the third of the rebuild of Evangelion films, which are a remake of the story of the classic anime. The first two movies are very, very faithful to the anime, but then they make a major change at the end of the second movie, which then leads into this one, which is just now they've gone in a completely different direction. This is mostly original stuff. They're bringing back elements from the show, but this is basically its own thing. Or not its own thing, because you have to have seen all of Evangelion in order to get this at all. But yeah, it's very interestingly structured. It starts with a couple of big bombastic set pieces, ends with this big set piece, but the middle is like very slow and very contemplative, and you're kind of digging into the psychology of the characters and this relationship that starts to blossom between the protagonist and this new character who is from the anime. Anyway, complicated. Evangelion is, yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah.
But yeah, they introduce Kaoru, and suddenly things get very gay, and it almost plays out like a romance movie. Hideaki Anno has denied any queer subtext, but I mean, they're playing piano together. It's there. It's actually like really sweet though, the romance that kind of blossoms between these two characters. And yeah, their experiences here. And then yeah, things get crazy at the end, and there's some like giant set pieces and some gnarly horror imagery, which is always fun. But yeah, it is like it's such an interesting and odd balance of tones. I think the next movie kind of pulls it off a little bit better, and this movie is actually like kind of controversial because some people think it's a little odd, the tones, and the next one. Anyway, we also just have like this really incredible score from Shiro Saguchi, who John, you will be familiar with his work in Shin Godzilla, because this is the same director. Hideaki Anno directed Shin Godzilla, and
Yeah.
this is like, this shows his range so much, because you have a lot of the like soft piano music, but then you have his thing, which I love so much, is like big epic orchestral music with choirs singing about like God and death and the nature of mercy and judgment and wrath. It's like, thematically it doesn't really make sense with, or like it can. Anyway, I don't understand Evangelion. I can't pretend to understand the symbolism or anything. I just like when the big robots are punching each other and there's like a choir singing about death and destruction. Yes.
Yeah.
As Godzilla's stomping around the city, you're like, oh yeah. Why isn't every movie scored this way of like, let's get for the big battle scene a choir just singing like epic music about the nature of life?
Yeah.
Uh,
It's part of my road trip soundtrack music.
uh, but yeah, I highly recommend just listening to the soundtrack, or like there, yeah. But yeah, this is a difficult movie to recommend, because in order to watch it, you have to have watched the entirety of Evangelion, the end of Evangelion movie, then the other two rebuild movies, and then you can watch this one. You like,
Yeah.
that is so much stuff to get, and it's Evangelion. It's a lot. It doesn't make sense. I don't understand the symbolism. I don't know what's going on. And yeah, the follow up to this one, which took 10 years to come out, undercuts a lot of the stuff that I like here, with the relationship between Shinji and Kaoru. But I don't know. This one, I haven't seen it since I've last watched the most recent Evangelion film, but I have such fond memories of this one. And this is like, because I watched the Evangelion show, didn't really get it. I watched the first two rebuild movies, didn't really get it. I watched this one and it finally clicked for me of like why this is a good series. But yeah, that is, I can't recommend this to people in good conscience just because it requires so much homework.
Yeah. Which is why I haven't gotten into Evangelion yet, because it's like, I know it's supposedly really good, but it's like, oh man, it's also really deep as well, and I don't feel like going that deep yet. So
I will say again, I don't understand the lore or the symbolism at all. Like I can like pick up on it, bits and pieces, and I like, once you know a little bit about Anno's perfect personal life, then it starts to make a little bit more sense. And like the metaphors for like depression, like that stuff really you can latch onto. When it's getting into like, what do the angels and the robots represent, I'm like, I don't know. Am I supposed to care? I just want to watch big robots fight and boys be gay. Can I just do that? Do I need to know what the religious symbolism of this all is? But yeah, anyway, I feel like I had to put a lot of caveats there for this being number 4 on my list.
So, unlike what I typically say, I am not adding this to my watch list.
It is. I will say I maybe Evangelion is a very good series and is worth getting into at some point. But yeah, it is an investment.
So one thing I do with my watch list, I try not to add like part twos. So like I have The Godfather in my watch list, but not The Godfather Part 2.
Yeah.
So that's kind of me. So if this is part 17, I'll add part 1, but part 1's a TV show, so that's not even on Letterboxd. So we're waiting till TV shows are on Letterboxd before I add that to my watch list. And even at TV shows, you really got me at a hang up, because I don't watch them.
Yeah, again, this is a movie that is almost impossible for me to recommend because it just too much homework.
Meanwhile, I'm watching trashy TV shows and whatever.
I mean, trashy TV shows are so much easier to watch than important TV shows. Isn't that like Roger Ebert said it was so much easier for him to recommend bad movies to people than good movies? Because when you hear this is good, for a lot of
Yeah,
people, that is like, oh, that is an investment in this that I don't want to make. I'd
yeah.
rather watch something dumb and fun than something good and important, which I definitely relate to. Someone who, I don't know, there's certain picks, especially in my honorable mentions, that will speak to that.
Are you planning to watch War of the Worlds anytime soon?
I mean, we need. Do I need something for my least favorite of
You
2025?
probably
Maybe.
do. I
Let's
don't
see.
know if I get invited to like some watch party, maybe, but not on my own. Like not to find something for my
Yeah,
worst because I already saw Love Hurts this year. That was bad enough.
I
That
like that movie.
you do? I'm
We'll
glad.
talk about it at the end
Okay.
of the year.
Okay. I'm glad you do.
I
I
saw it on
just
like St. Patrick's Day or something
I
in an
was just
empty theater.
I was just incredibly bored by it. Like it's
Okay.
I don't know. There was just
We can
nothing
talk
there.
about that when we
That's
get
fair.
to 2025.
Did sorry. Just I know we're not there, but did you like Jurassic World Rebirth or not?
I haven't seen it.
You haven't? Okay. Cuz that's
No.
also somewhat interchangeable as like worst movie
Okay.
ish. Or I just again, I was just so
It's
bored
a
by it.
movie. Yeah.
It just there's just anyways, yeah. Okay. I'm legitimately Love Hurts is not a terrible movie. I have no problem with someone liking it. So, I'm really glad you enjoyed it. I
I'm glad
wanted
to
to
hear
like
that
it.
because you would have to have a problem with me if you had a problem with someone liking it.
Yeah. Like I feel like I have a small list of movies that I love so much that no one should touch or like say anything bad about, and I have a small amount of movies that I hate so much that everyone should hate as well. And then everything else, like I don't care. Like the
Yeah,
99% everything else, do what you want. I love it, hate it, I don't care. I like it, I hate it, not or I dislike it, it doesn't matter. So
well,
I
which
actually
category does your next movie fit into here?
that was incredibly good
Yeah.
segue on accident. I do enjoy The Amazing Spider-Man. It has been a few years since I've watched it, but also I recognize that I don't really go into superhero movies expecting a lot. Um, First off, superhero movies was what got me really into movies, and so that was kind of the time when I was going in for enjoyment. Uh, you know, I'm not that I was like out of my mind surprised, but all of a sudden I heard people saying how much they didn't like Thor: The Dark World, and I was just like, it exists. I really didn't like. I didn't hate it. I didn't love it, but I was just like, it was just another movie, I guess, you know. But some
Yeah.
people are like, oh my gosh, it's so bad, worst movie I've ever seen. I'm just like, no, it happened. So I feel like I have like a little bit of a oh, I enjoyed it bar for superhero films. Um, Both for when I started watching and even presently. I have friends who, have a lot of deep thoughts about the new Superman movie. I'm just like, I don't care. And then I'm realizing I'm eating my words with this new K-pop Demon Hunters movie, which has source material that I care about, like other people do with comic book films, and here I am like over critiquing it. So I'm eating my words, I know, with something like that. Anyways, but Amazing Spider-Man, and I don't. I'll probably say the same thing about the second Amazing Spider-Man. I enjoy the movies. I don't like. They're just fun, you know. They don't hurt my head where it's like I don't understand what's going on. This is too ridiculous or something. But yeah, and then also Emma Stone is a great co-lead. Andrew Garfield, I think, is kind of the most enjoyable Spider-Man for me. Not I'm not a big Maguire guy. I do enjoy Holland, but I really enjoy what Garfield brings as Spider-Man. Yeah, there's some elements of the Amazing Spider-Man movies I don't love, and I don't really remember which is which. I know Harry's in the second one. He's really the only one that really sticks out to me. But I don't really remember from this one what I might have had issues with. But it's just an enjoyable film. That's just really all it is. It's fun. It's like I don't understand hate for it. I think there are a lot of people who are really nostalgic for Maguire. I don't really understand the Maguire movies, but have fun. Honestly, that's like I said, like it's in that 99% where it's like I have my feelings about it. You can have your feelings about it, but I don't care if we disagree, kind of thing. And also same with the Garfield ones. I don't understand people who hate these movies, but we are definitely seeing a shift of people who grew up with Garfield, especially since No Way Home. We saw that wave kind of increase. Um, so yeah, they're enjoyable. I think yeah, I I enjoy this movie. I don't really remember a lot of details about this movie, but it's fun. It's a fun time.
Yeah, I have not seen this in many years. I remember thinking it was fine when it came out, and I think I only saw it once or twice. Um, yeah, Andrew Garfield is good in the role. I like Maguire, but yeah, they are very different interpretations. I'm not a big Spider-Man guy. Like, I like a lot of Spider-Man movies, but he's not one of my favorite heroes. So I don't have a strong investment in whether this is a good or bad movie.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm. I remember when I first saw it when it came out, I did not like the film, and I think it might have been one of the first films where I like did not like, because we're keeping track of like my journey through my emotion to
Yeah.
films. Like last year, I was like starting to notice like, films aren't as enjoyable. This was like one of the first where it's like, I don't like this film. Thinking back, it was really just the tone was very different.
Mm.
Not really what you would expect for Spider-Man. Not really one that really works for Spider-Man. I think Garfield, great actor. He he's fun as Spider-Man. I think he got to shine even more in the second one, which we'll talk about that someday. Uh, but yeah, this is one that has aged better than others. All right, moving on to my number four. Uh, and my number four is Skyfall, which is a James Bond film. Yeah, this was a film that is a tribute to 50 years of James Bond, and this was a lot of fun. It's a Daniel Craig, interesting direction, different era. I don't know what I'm trying to say here.
Krieg.
Sam Mendes coming in and doing sort of a Nolan.
Yeah, yeah. Doing a very different
Mm.
take with James Bond than we'd normally typically see. Like even compared to like the other Craig James Bond films, this was like, oh, we're actually viewing the character in a different light than we normally see. The story's a little more personal. Um, it's a great tribute to 50 years, and I like the way the film ends in the kind of like, now we're finally seeing this actor ending up as the James Bond that we know and love. And then the next film comes out, it's like, oh, okay, well, things, that's a whole other thing. But yeah, this might be the best made James Bond film from a production standpoint and filmmaking standpoint. Is it my favorite? Debatable. I've only seen it once, so I can't really speak fully on it, but it is a solid one. I know that you, Jay, have a lot more to say than I do.
Yeah, this was originally on my list, and then I rewatched it and it didn't hit the same way it had before. So I took it off my list, and I was hoping that you would put it on your list since I know you are a fan of this one as well. And I was very excited when I came on the document today and saw that you had added it to your side. Because yeah, this is one. So I haven't seen a ton of James Bond. I've seen all of the Craig, and I've seen maybe one or two of the others, but yeah, I used to. The first two that I saw were Casino Royale and Skyfall. And so for years after, I'd be like, oh yeah, James Bond. I like James Bond. The more James Bond I watched, the more I realized, no, I think I just like Skyfall. And to a slightly lesser extent, Casino Royale. This is like just such a well constructed film and like an action movie with a lot of artistry behind it. this is one of those things where there's certain franchises. I feel this way about Indiana Jones as well, which actually has a lot of James Bond DNA in it. Of I like the ones where we're getting a little bit more personal, where it feels like the main character, the protagonist, is actually a character rather than a plot function moving through the story and being cool. Where here we're getting an arc with him. We're seeing sort of digging into his psychology and his past. Yeah, I love all of the Home Alone stuff at the end. I think that's fun. Um, this one has, of the Craig era, one of the worst, or probably the worst, female character. James Bond's love interest is just so horribly treated, but that also has like this really, really good take on M and gives her a lot of very interesting things to do. Um, and yeah, it's just like the artistry behind this is shot by Roger Deakins, who is just legendary cinematographer. Like if you know one cinematographer, you know Roger Deakins, and just the lighting is so good. There's a sniper scene with like a neon or like LED screen background that's like this blue jellyfish going over, like the way the like cast shadows is so good. And John, I'm glad to see in the presentation here you put my favorite shot in the movie, which is when James Bond is just in silhouette walking down this hallway, that he just steps in and there's just this like sliver of light across his face and you just see his eyes. It's so good. Yeah, the artistry behind this. There's stuff in Scotland. Anytime they're in the Scottish Highlands, like that's just so gorgeous. Yeah, I again, yeah, I am not a James Bond fan. I am a Skyfall fan.
Yeah. No, just the cinematography alone is just very stunning. When I was looking up images, I was like, oh man, there's a lot of really good silhouette shots that would be perfect. But no, I had to slim down my options here.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I've not seen any James Bond film, so there's that. Denis Villeneuve is making me question my life choices right now in the next couple of years. So
yeah, there's a lot of them.
That's what I
yeah.
question. Like, do I just watch his Cold, which I could because it's a new Bond,
Yeah.
or do I want to watch old Bond? But there's so many and of varying qualities.
Yeah.
So I don't know. 26 or 7 movies. I'm just like, I don't know if I want to do that. So
yeah. I probably won't do that,
I
but
mean,
though I do intend to at some point watch all the Bonds.
I did that last year. I bought the Blu-ray set of them all.
Yeah.
And I had divided up into like 3 different parts of the year to watch them, so it's a lot.
Yeah.
A lot of sameness. I had fun, yes.
Okay, good. That's another thing. Like, I don't know if like I could enjoy a movie like Skyfall, but would I enjoy Bond as like a franchise, as a character that I want to return to? Probably not. Yeah,
probably not.
But yeah, I'll probably at the very least watch Villeneuve's whenever that rolls around.
Yeah, I will say Skyfall at the very least. Skyfall and Casino Royale are definitely worth watching, even just as standalones.
So
and I'm sure John can.
So Skyfall is the first.
No, that's the third Craig film.
What then? What do I do?
So most of the Bond movies are episodic. So Skyfall has references to stuff that has happened in the past movies, but is mostly disconnected from those.
So I could enjoy that one alone. You're saying
the other Craig movies are much more interconnected, but that is like anomalous for the franchise.
Okay,
you could do a thing where you watch Casino Royale and then watch this one, maybe.
Yeah, it worked for me when I watched it. There was no confusion about, because Quantum of Solace sucks. And then Spectre, which follows Skyfall, also sucks. And then No Time to Die doesn't suck, but you have to have seen all of the other ones for that one.
Yeah.
So yeah, you can definitely kind of pick and choose with the Bond movies because they aren't building on each other, except for some of the Craig ones, but not Skyfall. Skyfall is its own silo.
Yes, mostly. Again, it's also a tribute to 50 years, so there's like a lot of smaller, subtle Easter eggs that you're not gonna get, but you know.
Right. Fine. I added the 2 movies to my watch list. But I don't know what I'm gonna do. I
We
don't
got
know.
him.
Out of 4,000 movies, you got me.
Someday he may watch one or two of these movies.
I'll come visit and bring my Blu-ray collection with me. and then-
Okay. Actually, you know what? I think last year they released all the Bond movies in 4K on Amazon Prime.
Hmm.
Oh, okay.
And then this year they released the Sean Connery Bond films on disc, 4K disc.
And-
So
Makes sense.
yeah,
Amazon
does
owns them now, so
they do own them. So for history's sakes, pretty cool that they're all restored in 4K now.
Yeah.
So now, since presently I have access to Prime, I might as well just watch them on Prime.
yeah.
But if I lose access to Prime, then yeah, bring that set. Though that set is only like $70, which isn't too bad, right?
Only 70. Yeah, it's not too bad.
For the
I mean,
number
for
of
like
movies,
25
yeah.
movies, that's pretty
Yeah.
solid. It's like $2 a film, or 1.5, whatever. That's a good deal. I want to
Yeah.
get the Twin Peaks set. That's like 70. Anyways, sorry, Jay.
Yes, yeah. So my number 3 movie of 2012, Cabin in the Woods, directed by Drew Goddard, written by Goddard and Joss Whedon. I'm not gonna speak much about this. If you have not seen the trailer, if you don't know anything about this movie, I'm gonna keep stuff spoiler free. Go and watch this before you see the trailer, before you hear anything else. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is some really fun surprises that kind of get spoiled by the marketing material. But yeah, Cabin in the Woods. A group of college students go on a trip, and it's a spooky cabin in the woods. And
While
yeah.
while also being a meta commentary on the genre, but that's all we're gonna say.
Yeah, this is a horror comedy that is truly devoted to doing both really well. There are so many really good moments of tension and so many really good moments of humor, and so many moments that blend the two in a really fun way. And yeah, John, as you were saying, this is sort of a commentary on the horror genre. It's playing with tropes in a very interesting way. It's very self-aware, but not in like it doesn't feel cute. It still delivers what it promises tenfold. Even the ending of this movie is just like insane. Yeah, I won't say anything else because I don't want to spoil this for anyone who hasn't seen it. If you enjoy horror, if you enjoy horror comedy especially, seek this one out as soon as possible because it is just one of the pinnacles of the horror comedy genre.
I've not seen this film. I do think I know the main twist, but that's all I know. So it sounds like there's enough surprises in the film, so that's cool. And I honestly, I think I'm finding myself, especially after Weapons, I'm like, I think I do like horror comedies.
Yeah, this is one. It's very different than Weapons, but this is
Right.
if you enjoy horror comedy, this is one to seek out.
Yeah, because I'm not very much of a horror kind of guy, but I do like dark comedies, and so essentially horror comedies are dark comedies.
Yeah.
And I don't know how comparable it is. I enjoyed the Happy Death Day movies.
Okay.
I enjoyed Weapons. So I didn't know this was comedically leaning. So you're piquing my interest, especially hearing you're saying like the ending is kind of out of this world, or maybe not literally, but
I mean,
okay. So who knows? I don't know. So yeah, because I guess like once I kind of found out like, oh, it was supposed to be a twist, then it almost like maybe sucked out a little bit of like a, oh, is it worth watching? I know my roommate feels that way about Barbarian. He's like he knows the twist and he's not sure if it'd be fun to watch. I haven't seen it yet, so I don't know the twist or anything.
Yeah.
But yeah, hearing that it's still a good watch, kind of you're piquing my interest.
And I will say, like, I went into Cabin in the Woods already knowing the twist, and I still had a great time. This was actually one of the first horror movies I was watching, or I watched when I was still like getting into the genre.
Okay.
Yeah.
And really was a really nice on ramp for that to me. But it is also like the more you know about the tropes of the genre, the more you will get out of this. But it is,
Okay.
I mean, it also is just like really funny.
Mm-hmm.
So like even if you know some of the twists going in, that's not going to completely spoil the ending. I just want to preserve the twist because there's
Right.
so much fun if you don't know.
Mm-hmm. Amazing. Um. Yeah. Hopefully, I don't find out about the ending. I hate spoilers. So I will say like I think I found out about like the main kind of twist thing before I cared about movies. So and then now that I care about movies, like well, screw me. Um. All right, my number three again in line with the I didn't watch much this year, but it's still a good film. Or again, you know, this is also subject for debate because some people don't like this film. The Dark Knight Rises, like it's a solid film. Like yeah, after The Dark Knight, yeah, that's hard to recapture. Yeah, but still, I'm not. Obviously, most people praise Nolan as king. If you don't think so, okay, that's fine. But like most people, Nolan is king. Nolan knows how to make a good movie. Like, has he made a bad movie? Like seriously, like uh, people will say Tenet, but it's just because Tenet's confusing. I'm not a huge Tenet guy. I'm just saying, you know, but it's not a bad film, right? So like, okay, so okay, Tenet is sorry, Dark Knight Rises is probably better than Tenet for most people. I don't know. Anyways, whatever. I enjoyed this film. Again, my standards for superhero films aren't that high as well, so there's that too. So maybe people are like, well, this doesn't make sense because that, and my suspension of belief is already just out the window for superhero films, I guess. So I will throw any. I can't think of something that hasn't worked for me for a superhero film.
Okay.
What doesn't work for me is that when it's just like a general decline, like the MCU past couple years, like when you feed me something like Secret Invasion, and I'm just like, I don't know what this is supposed to be. It wasn't even that it doesn't make sense to me. It was just I don't know what this is supposed to be. This just isn't working, kind of thing. And then
Yeah.
there's some things like Multiverse of Madness that initially I viewed as a disappointment, but now I enjoy as a film. So, but yeah, I just for the most part, I'm just like I'm here for a silly little time. And Nolan doesn't really bring the silly, but he brings a good time. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I like The Dark Knight Rises. I like Amazing Spider-Man. Sorry if you don't. It is what it is. It's enjoyable. I want to rewatch him. I got the Blu-ray set which had the expanded IMAX sequences, and I haven't seen that for either Dark Knight or most of Dark Knight Rises. So I wanna rewatch this at some point. Probably not anytime soon, but yeah, I like I like it.
Yeah, John and I did a podcast on this for Binging Barbie, plugging that here. This 2012 is actually, there's a lot of movies that we've covered on Binging Barbie. Um, yeah, this is one, at a time I would have considered this my favorite of the Dark Knight trilogy. I have not enjoyed it as much when I have rewatched it in the last few years. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff here to like. I think it kind of is a little bit confused on what it is trying to say in its message. It's kind of merging the Dark Knight Returns story with um elements of like A Tale of Two Cities, which don't always mix super coherently on a message level. But yeah, I like a lot of what this is doing. The action set pieces are very big. I love Anne Hathaway as Catwoman. She's like a very odd choice for the role, but she works so well. Um, this has the funniest death scene that is unintentionally funny that I have
Yeah.
seen that I can
Yeah.
think of at the moment.
Bane
Yeah.
has the funny voice, you know. Like, the darkness rises, you know.
Yep. Yeah. You can go and listen to our binging Barbie episode for more thoughts on from me. John, I
Yes,
don't know if you have anything to.
general history for me. Uh, you know, it is out of the three Nolan Batman films is probably like my least favorite one. I still like a lot of it visually. I do think I like a lot of the action, but like story wise, not my favorite. And that's kind of how I felt since I first watched it. So yeah, still very cool, still neat, good stuff, but not as good as other stuff.
The plane sequence at the beginning. I'm just
Yes,
remembering that
yes,
is
yeah, the plane sequence. Speaking
yeah.
of not as good, we have from my number three, The Hobbit: The Unexpected Journey, the first of this Hobbit trilogy. Uh, of the Hobbit films, this is my favorite of that specific trilogy that I don't always love. This one I like the most because it's the closest to the book, and it doesn't devolve too much. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's a musical too. I like that.
Two songs, I think. But yeah. I guess
Plus
Gollum
the
has a song.
extended sequence has another
Yeah,
couple
that's
songs,
true.
but uh, yeah. It also historically, you know, it's I believe the first film to use the red camera, maybe.
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah, I don't
interesting.
know that off the top of my head, but that sounds accurate.
Yes.
I probably knew that at
Uh,
some point.
some interesting visuals. I think also this also had an interesting frame rate when they released in theaters.
Yeah, 48
Mm,
frames, I believe, was what they were displayed it in, and people got headaches from that.
Yeah.
praise God.
uh, yeah, this is one that I was very fond of these movies as they were coming out. As like, I hadn't seen The Lord of the Rings in theaters because I was, 2 years old, but had come to love those films as I finally saw them. And so these were coming out, and I was so excited for them. And I think that excitement kind of clouded my judgment on these. I do like a lot of aspects of these movies, but
Mm-hmm.
they are a mess in many ways.
Yeah.
I think I like Desolation of Smaug most just because that has such a wide variety of characters and landscapes and interesting things going on. And I mean, Smaug is such an. But yeah, anyway, that's thoughts for next week. Yeah, this is a messy movie that
Mm-hmm.
is very fascinating once you start to like dig into. Lindsay Ellis has a couple of really good videos on the Hobbit movies that are worth watching and get into it more in depth.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I love Gollum, and
he's fun. He's always fun.
yeah, this is his only appearance in this trilogy, which is
Yeah.
yep.
He's the goodest little guy who can do no wrong.
Eggsy, yeah,
I don't know if I would describe him that way, but sure.
I myself watched the Hobbit trilogy earlier this year because I saw the original trilogy in theaters. I was like, oh my gosh, I binged the Hobbit movie. Like the original trilogy was like every week, and
Yeah.
and then I binged the Hobbit like a few days before because I don't remember what happened. I think I delayed in getting it, and then I finally got it or something, whatever. And then I didn't have a lot of time. So I've just expressed before, I'm not over the moon about the Lord of the Rings movies. I have a lot of respect for them. So the Hobbit movies, and I'm talking in a general whole. So if we're talking about the Hobbit in the future, which I don't know if we will or won't, but I apologize. But as in a general whole, I see the Hobbit movies I do see them less than Lord of the Rings movies. I do see the kind of care that went into the original trilogy that I don't see as much with The Hobbit, but there's still a lot that went into the Hobbit movies that I do respect. But I also feel like I see the Hobbit movies almost more like Marvel films or Avenger films
Mm,
because I almost see them as more fun,
okay.
and that may feel offensive to people who love the original trilogy, but there's just a sense of, dare I say, less care that is almost like, let's just make movies. Kind of like like you
Yeah.
can't deny, like, we know that the originally two movies and turned into three to capitalize on the whole trilogy thing of the original trilogy. So yeah, there's kind of this whole like Hollywoodism that's kind of put into the Hobbit movies. That's kind of just like, let's just make movies, and they're just kind of fun because people love Lord of the Rings. And I feel that energy in a positive way, but in a way that I know that they could have been better movies. So I had fun with the Hobbit movies. Um, Arguably more fun with the original trilogy, but I do think the original trilogy is better. Um, there's still certain little things throughout the Hobbit movies I really do like. There's a certain cut, I think, in the second movie that I just absolutely loved. Um, and then again, I mentioned the Avenger films. My goodness, when Gollum appeared, I was it was like Avengers Endgame for me. I was such a happy little guy. Oh my goodness. So, um, yeah, again, and then when in the next film, when is it? What's the
Orlando Bloom,
yeah,
Legolas.
Legolas, when he appears, I'm like, oh my god! It's just that energy throughout these movies. Yeah, they're the Marvel films of the Lord of the Rings movies. But they're fun. Um, yeah.
I will
So
say that I think my issue with them is actually that they aren't more fun. That they're drawing a bit too
interesting.
much from the tone of the Lord of the Rings, where the book is for an even younger audience than the Lord of the Rings books are, and has a much lighter tone.
Yeah, because I haven't read any of the books, so I don't have that comparison point like you do.
Yeah.
Um, and then also, like, there's some elements of darkness in the Hobbit movies that I did enjoy. Like
Yeah.
you mentioned,
The book
Smaug.
has some darkness in it as well. But yeah,
Yeah.
I agree with you that in some ways these are more outright fun,
Hmm.
because I think that's when they are successfully adapting the book, because the book has a lot of fun
Mm,
in it. Um, yeah, yeah.
yeah. And again,
I can't talk too much about this because I will go off on a long tangent about the Hobbit.
yeah. And again, I'll just clarify: just because they're more fun doesn't make them better.
Yeah.
I'll for those who are upset with what I said that. So.
On now to my number two, I have another film that I by myself talked about on binging Barbie. I don't know if that episode is any good or holds up at all, but it's out there for people who are curious. This is Noah Baumbach and Francis Ha, and Greta Gerwig's Francis Ha. Little slip up there. Yeah, this is written by Greta Gerwig and Noah Baumbach and directed by Baumbach. And it is about Frances, who is a 27-year-old dancer living in New York City, and she's struggling to figure out what she wants to do with her life. She's sort of drifting from place to place. And yeah, it's this really interesting fusion of Baumbach's sort of indie dramedy style that he had been developing throughout the 2000s, and then bringing in Gerwig's mumblecore roots. And it's just like this match made in heaven. You have this like, I don't know, it just works so well. They're two styles coming together, and you get sort of the more intentionality put into the Baumbach films, plus the genuineness of Gerwig's early work. Um, yeah, this is an adult coming of age story, as many of their movies are. It's actually like a really good companion piece to Ladybird, and at times it
Hmm.
even feels like the two are following the same character at different points in her life. I think since they're drawing a little bit from Gerwig's personality, though they aren't autobiographical necessarily. But those elements are there where it's like, oh, this kind of feels like what happens to Lady Bird 10 years after Lady Bird. Um, but yeah, Frances is just such a fascinating character. She's impulsive. She's kind of listlessly drifting through her life, waiting for like this big break while ignoring all of the little opportunities that come her way. She's not always the most socially aware, which leads to some awkward but fun scenes. But she like always has good intentions, and you understand that, and you can't help but root for her to figure herself out as she's doing this. This is a character who is so well developed that you feel like you know her on a personal level. This also has like they shot in black and white as a practical choice to save on budget, but it also just it gives it like this timeless quality, which I really enjoy. This has an early Adam Driver performance. He's a lot of fun in this. Greta Gerwig as Frances Ha, of course, fantastic. Um, yeah, this is what if you are someone who is currently in your 20s, watch this ASAP because something will hit here.
Also, make sure again to go check out our Binging Barbie episodes on the rest of Greta Gerwig's films,
Yep. Yeah,
except for the
maybe
first
not the
one.
Frances Ha one, but the one that John and I did on Lady Bird, or the one that my sister and I did on Little Women. Those are both more engaging episodes since they have more than one person contributing their thoughts.
Yes.
Oh, it's my turn. My bad. Um, this is a Korean movie called Nameless Gangster, which also, according, I got a booklet that was all in Korean because I was curious about the restoration. So I got a 4K restoration of this, and so I've kind of made it a little goal. We'll see if I will keep to it. I think it'll be for fun. There aren't a lot of Korean movies out on 4K disc,
Yeah.
so I we'll see. This might be my the one like completionist thing I might want to do. So
Okay.
I
Yeah.
think there are a handful of films that are like in like released in European countries with like French or German subtitles. Those I'm not going to be concerned with because like The Host, that's bound to get a 4K with English subtitles one day, right? Even though it's been a couple of years since it released in France or Germany, right? It should. And we'll see. But so I'm not going to concern myself with those, but I think I have maybe about half of releases with English subtitles. And so this one was one that released recently. There was one release from Plain Archive, Tune In for Love, that is an AI upscale. And so since that one, I've kind of been a little bit on the edge of my seat, like, oh, are we AI upscaling some of these? And so since then, I've been a little on the edge of my seat. I got a recent one from Plain Archive, Escape from The Word Starts with M. That one looks like a good transfer, not AI upscale. That's good. I was also nervous about this one, which was released via Nova Media, and so again, just on because online they post like here's a comparison between the Blu-ray and the 4K, and the video itself was like of lower quality than the Blu-ray. Like I can't even tell a difference, man. What are you trying to say? Um, so I blind purchased it on faith, and the booklet was all in Korean. So I did like try to do some translation things, and so you guys mentioned red cameras. This movie was also, according to a translation of the booklet, is also shot on red cameras, and so they sourced the original files because they were shot.
Oh,
It was shot
yeah.
in over 4K, so they went back to the original files to bring us this 4K disc. So that's cool. So
Yeah.
seems like from what I was reading, it's not an AI upscale. Also, like there were just a couple moments before I watched it. Like I paused at a certain few moments and I just stared at it like, yeah, that doesn't look like AI. Praise God. Praise God. Anyways, little tangent there. And also I wanted to mention the red camera thing. So for funsies.
Yeah.
Nameless Gangster is a gangster movie. The lead character played by Chae Min Sik who most people know as Old Boy. And yeah, this was a very, very different role for him. If you've seen him in Old Boy, this is just a very different role. It's really cool to see. This movie's just a very well-made film. Now, I will say I've not seen a lot of gangster films or your classic gangster films, so I saw maybe like one Letterboxd review compared to a classic gangster film, and you know what? I don't have anything to say to that. You may like, the oldies better. Maybe you'll like this one better. Maybe they're on similar enough level. Don't know. This is what I've seen, and I like it. I just think it's just a well-made film. I think the progression is just really solid. It has a very interesting perspective from Chang Ming-chik's character. Yeah, and then also for anyone who likes the one, the only Don Lee, he's also in this film. So not a major role, but he's still in it. So also very unlike the kind of character you'd expect from Don Lee. So yeah, it's just a good movie. It's just a well-made movie. I will say I was really kind of torn between what should be one, this, or what is that my number one. Kind of going a little bit back and forth in my head. I think this is a better movie. I think I just like the story of number one more. It's kind of interchangeable. This is really good, really good. So, as for 4K restoration, I really don't have much thoughts, except it's not AI. It's not AI upscale, praise God. I honestly don't have a 4K system. I have a 4K player, but I have a HD projector. So it looks solid enough. Also, on that point, I've not seen it, period, before. I saw it for the first time a few days ago. So I have no point of comparison. I'm just throwing that out to you. It's not the most important, but just so I mentioned, I think it's just really cool to see that, we are seeing some Korean movies being released on 4K disc, and this is one. And I saw it was announced, and I'm like, you know what? I want to get it. I pray it's not AI, and it's not, from what I'm seeing, both in text and visually. So, yippee!
Yeah, this isn't one that I had heard of until you logged it on Letterboxd, but yeah, it looks very interesting to me, and I'm not super familiar with Korean history, so having this sort of period piece I'm intrigued by it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think specifically what was said is that this is not itself a true story, but it's based on, the ideas of the time.
Okay, yeah,
Kind of like,
yeah.
Maybe this is a culmination of 5 different stories or something. So it's not a direct history, but it very much is a period piece of sorts.
Yeah.
And you know me. Not seen or heard it.
Are you interested in it?
I'm not really interested in films right now, so I can't answer that. But moving on to my number 2, it is a DC animated film, Justice League Doom, which asks the question of what happens if Batman's plans. I had a word for it. What's the word?
Contingency plans?
Contingency plans get stolen by the bad guys. And so it's a film all about that. And it's pretty cool. It's pretty self-contained, pretty simple, short, to the point. I love a lot of the character designs for these characters. I think it's pretty solid, pretty good. I like the voice actors. I think it's a pretty solid Justice League adventure. Probably works better if you knew who some of these characters are, but overall, one of the more underrated ones, and honestly, one of the better ones. So, yeah, that's what I'll say.
And I'm assuming when you talk about Batman's contingency plans, you're talking about his sort of the things he has prepared in case one of the Justice League members goes evil.
I mean, I didn't want to go too specific, but yes.
Okay, I see.
You're
You're preserving some.
I'm not watching it now.
Oh yeah,
Speaking
this
of
is
that,
what
I have
I
not watched it.
yeah. I haven't either. I think this is one that was in the collection that I bought, so I will eventually get around to it. I am
Yes.
intrigued by the premise.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So why don't we get into our honorable mentions before number ones?
Yeah, I'm gonna try to move through these a little quickly. I did exclude, just because I had so many movies for this year. I'm excluding movies that we talked about on Binging Barbie. So that's Paranorman and the Twilight Saga Breaking Dawn Part 2. If you want my thoughts on those, go and listen to Binging Barbie. But anyway, first up, I've organized these alphabetically as I have been doing for the last few times. I have Ernest and Celestine here. This is about a mouse and a bear who form an unlikely friendship while on the run from the law. And it's just really sweet 2D animated film, gorgeous animation. And speaking of animated films, It's Such a Beautiful Day from Don Hertzfeld. This is a very sort of experimental film. The animation is very minimal. It didn't hit me as emotionally as I know it hit some people, but it's very impressive still. Moonrise Kingdom, just a really good Wes Anderson movie. Prometheus, this was very divisive when it came out, but I find it very fascinating. It has this almost like biblical tone, sort of Ridley Scott returning to the series, and yeah, it has such an odd and unique identity. Um, Resident Evil Retribution, Paul W.S. Anderson coming back for another Resident Evil movie. I love Mila Jovovich. I love dumb action horror stuff. This is just a lot of fun. Probably the best of the series. Definitely the best of the series. Um, Sky or no, not Skyfall, because I took that off my honorable mentions because I already talked about it. So instead, 21 Jump Street. It's just fun. I was not expecting to have so much fun with it, but I had so much fun with it. Um, and then I have Vamps, which is one that not many people have heard of. It's written and directed by Amy Heckerling of Clueless fame. Um, this is a really, really good vampire comedy script and idea that is let down by having a very limited budget. But the performances are all really good. It's still worth it, even though the budget isn't quite there for it to do what it wants to do. Also, it has Wallace Shawn as a vampire hunter. Like, come on, come on, it's fun. And then yeah, last up I have Zero Dark 30. I have not seen this in several years, but I remember really, really loving it when I saw it. A very like effective historical thriller and very recent at the time that it was made. They actually had to like change stuff while they were in development as history was unfolding before them. And yeah, Jessica Chastain, she's always great.
Of these films, I have seen Prometheus. Uh, to put it simply, I think it is well directed. I think it does have a great atmosphere and interesting themes. It's really when it tries to connect to the alien universe where it gets really complicated. Um, but without that, it's a pretty solid sci-fi film.
And I've not seen any of these. I want to try to get that Wes Anderson collection from Criterion once
Yeah,
the
yeah.
50% sale hits. um, my honorable mentions. I already mentioned The Hobbit. We talked about that. Uh, like I said, I didn't really watch much from this year. A movie I saw some years ago is called Christmas Oranges. It's a movie. Uh, you know, uh, I think this girl was sent to an orphanage, and the orphanage doesn't really treat her well. And through the power of love and Christmas, I think things change. Which in itself, that's not bad. That's very sweet. That's very beautiful. I just don't remember really feeling anything from this movie. It just it probably has more of the the quality of a Hallmark film. Um, yeah, who knows? Maybe I'll rewatch it in the future. Maybe I'll feel more positive about it. I doubt I'll feel extremely positive. Maybe I'll just be like, yeah, that was actually okay. I'm just kind of like, I saw it. That's just how I feel about it. I don't think it's bad. It's just nothing I feel about it really.
Well, and moving on to my honorable mentions. First up, we have Superman versus the Elite, which is another DC animated film. This one tackles the idea of like Superman's idealism, of him being a person of good who doesn't want to kill immediately. So here it's him against a group of people who has the opposite ideals against him. So kind of like what we see in the recent James Gunn film, but here it's a little more direct in what it's trying to do. Then we have Lincoln, the Steven Spielberg period piece about Lincoln with Daniel Day Lewis performance as Lincoln. Um, the story is fine. It's telling an important story, but the selling point for this film is Daniel Day Lewis as Lincoln, who gives a phenomenal performance. Like I could watch if the entire film was just Lincoln telling just random stories.
Yes, his
I would-
anecdotes are so good.
I would be so enthralled because just a credible performance. I guess in a similar vein, we have Django Unchained in a similar time period, at least. So it's a Quentin Tarantino film. Lots of fun, lots of actions, some great performances from Christoph Waltz and Leonardo DiCaprio. So lots of fun stuff there. Next up, we have Expendable 2s, which is the Stallone action film things where it's like almost every action star from the 80s and 90s come together. And the second one is the best one because it has all of them, and it's like pretty great. It's pretty fun and campy, and if you ever grew up watching all those action films, this one is a treat. Then we have The Bourne Legacy, the fourth quote unquote Bourne film not starring Jason Bourne. Trying to do something different. I thought it was all right. It tells a generic Bourne story, except it forgets to have a third act because the film ends at the end of the second act, and it's like, wait, what happened? Why are we ending here? Did you forget to have budget for the third act? And then we never see these characters again, unfortunately. So it's just this forgotten little thing. Now we have Men in Black 3, which is another Men in Black film. It's fun. I'll leave it there. Then we have Wolf Children, which is an anime film about this woman who falls in love with a furry and gets children who are wolves as well. It is, about a single mother raising wolf children, and it's the typical furry experience, I guess. And lastly, we have my wild card is Red Tails, which is this, when you look at the Lucasfilm filmography, this is the weird one. It's just like, oh, they did this random World War II film about the Red Tail pilots. It's their last film before being bought by Disney. I watched it because it was Lucasfilm. I haven't seen it since it first came out. I enjoyed it. It might not be the most historically accurate, but it is a film. And yeah.
Put that on the DVD box. It might not be the most historically accurate, but it is a film. Yeah, of these I've seen, of course, Lincoln, which I saw with my friend Toa, and actually very recently saw because I was rewatching through the Spielbergs. And yeah, Daniel Day-Lewis is great. Django Unchained is the other one from here that I've seen. And it's not my favorite Tarantino, but I've only seen it once. So who knows?
I haven't seen any of these.
Yeah, is it time for number one?
Yeah, I guess
one.
it's time for number one. I thought you saw Wolf Children.
I haven't.
No.
No.
Oh.
I don't know who you were referring to, but it sounds like neither of us have.
No.
Okay.
Yeah, my number one here is Cloud Atlas, written and directed by Lana and Lily Wachowski and Tom Tykwer. This follows 6 different stories, starting in the 1800s and going all the way to the 2300s. And the same actors are playing different roles across the different stories, creating this through line. And yeah, I first saw the trailer back in 2012, and this is a legendary trailer. There's like a 5.5 minute extended trailer, which is so good, phenomenal trailer. It is incredible. Anyway, yeah, it intrigued me so much that I bought the book. And it took me a few years until I was like old enough to understand it and like finally get through it. But when I did, I loved the book, and I saw the movie and I loved it as well. This is a movie that is going to be difficult to follow for first time viewers. The novel splits the stories sort of like the Russian dolls, where it gives half of one story, then half of the next story, and then eventually finishes the story in reverse order. Um, the movie just is cross cutting between these different stories. So if you don't have like a little bit of an understanding of what each story is, that it can kind of be difficult to follow. That said, once you have a sense for it, this is just an absolutely transcendental or transcendent experience. Just it's about love and life and death and connection and emotion, and it's being explored across this like wide canvas of genre and time. We have this like Pacific Voyage, this more like period drama, this journalistic thriller, a nursing home comedy, a cyberpunk like revolution movie, a post-apocalyptic adventure, all in this one
Oh,
film, and
well,
all sort of together. Um, yeah, go and watch the 5 minute trailer if you haven't seen it. It is such a good encapsulation of the experience of this film. Um, but like, yeah, it's so good. I love it so much. It has like incredible performances from everyone. Everyone is playing multiple characters and they do so really well. And yeah, each time I rewatch it, I notice another actor in the background that I had somehow missed before that is like crossing over. Um, this introduced me to Ben Whishaw and Bae Doona, two actors who I really appreciate their work and will watch stuff that they're in just because they're in it. Now, all that said, I do have to acknowledge the actors are playing multiple characters, often across different genders and ethnicities, and sometimes across different races. Um, One of the plot lines take place in Korea, so the filmmakers decide to put white actors in yellowface for that part. I want to be clear, it is not being done out of malice. Like, the entire message of the movie is basically one race, the human race. So that is kind of what they are going for here. It is like they have white actors playing Asian characters, they also have Asian actors playing white characters. So they're trying to do this like big thing. But they do know well enough to avoid putting any of the actors in blackface. So it's like, okay, they maybe could have been a little bit more sensitive about the yellow face as well. And it makes certain portions of the movie a little awkward to watch, both for like the cultural context, and also like the makeup isn't super great or super convincing. Um, but yeah, again, it's not done out of malice. It's just something that is a very big blemish on this movie that I otherwise really, really love. But yeah, this is an incredible film that is worth checking out.
I usually am cool with going into movies blind, but I think kind of hearing some elements about this kind of makes me a little more intrigued. Obviously, you got the Korea thing, you know that always intrigues me.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
also, I probably knew that Duna is in this, but also that's not like something I'm thinking about all the time. So then when I saw her name, like, oh, she's in this, so that's cool. Um, Not that I'm the my roommate's a bigger Bad Duna fan than I am, but still, it's cool. It's very fascinating to see like the couple of like Korean actors that have like crossed over and done a couple
yeah.
American films, and she's definitely I think the most prominent one. Um, so yeah, I am intrigued for sure.
this is one that's like been on my watch list for a while, but it's also just one that's like, man, I don't feel like getting into right now because it's like a lot. So
Yeah.
one day when I complete my Tom Hanks watch through, I'll do it. But
I will say on the topic of Tom Hanks, I forget, let me look this up, because he was once asked what his favorite movies that he himself has made. Um, and he listed like it was two ones that are like relatively well liked as like classics that everyone recognizes, and it's like, I don't know, A League of Their Own, and something else that is just very well recognized. And then his third one was Cloud Atlas. um this was one that he clearly like connected with a lot, and he got to play multiple characters, and they're very different characters. And yeah, you can tell all of the actors are really enjoying the exercise of playing these different characters and getting to have this emotional arc that spans genres and centuries rather than just a more standard thing. Um, so yeah, if you are a Tom Hanks fan, this is a seminal Tom Hanks work as an actor.
Yeah. One day.
Yep.
One unrelated note of Bayaduna. So she's in a Japanese film called Linda, 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 which my roommate found out about and has really been wanting to see. And GKIDS is putting it back in theaters with a 4K restoration. I bet it'd
Oh,
probably just be a one-day thing because,
yeah.
just, more people know about Shin Godzilla than Linda, 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 probably. So I have no clue if it'll hit my area. But GKIDS is pretty good about physical distribution. So,
Yeah.
yeah, hopefully I'd be able to see that at some point. And, you said you like Bayaduna, so yeah, just something on your radar.
Yeah.
All
Thanks
right,
for letting me know.
no problem. All right, my number one is a movie called Masquerade. Um, so this, oh man, I should better prepare. um, this is a movie I found. I was in Florida um, for a couple of days, and I found this at the store, and like, yippee! I got like all the Korean films I found there. um, but yeah, so this is a movie that stars Lee Byung Hyun. I was legitimately stalling for time so I could look up the Korean characters so I could pronounce his name. And I did a pretty good job, I think. So it stars him, which he's also another Korean actor who's done a couple American films here and there. But he is in some, Korean films I've talked about here. Good, Bad, the Weird. Film I didn't talk about, Bittersweet Life. Both of them directed the same director, who also did an American film. But yeah, so this is a role I've never seen him kind of in because, like his roles in Good, the Bad, the Weird. I think his character in Good, the Bad, the Weird was pretty serious. In I Saw the Devil, also, same director. Um, very, very serious. Masquerade is not from said director. Just throwing that out there. But so the premise, which is pretty much explored in the first 5-10 minutes. So King is suffering from treason attempts, on his life, or to oust him from the throne. And so he's like, you know what, this is what I need. I need someone who can be on the throne for me when I don't want to be there or I can't be there. And so specifically, actually, there is attempt on his life that actually takes him out for a period of time. So kind of works out well. So this guy, obviously played by the same actor, he's like a jester when he before his time on the throne. So I've never seen Lee Byung Hun like play a more comedic leaning. It's not a comedy, but I've always seen him so serious. I don't think I've seen the man smile before. So it was kind of exciting to see him in a role that was a little more chill. So obviously, as he learns, the role of the throne, there are times when he locks in, and then there are other times when he's a little more free spirited. Um, so obviously, the movie's kind of just fun on that premise. But I just really like the story that's presented here. Um, yeah, I I think going into Korean history film, I feel like when I go into one of those, I'm kind of expecting something like serious. Um, I don't know a lot about Korean history. I would like to know more about Korean history, but just kind of with a lot of the aesthetics and the few things I've seen have been very serious. A movie I may talk about in the future, like The Throne, great movie, pretty serious. There's not a lot of levity in that one. So yeah, I feel like going into one of those kind of movies, like before watching it's like, okay, prepare, probably. Which I am a proponent of watching serious things, but also I definitely watched this so I could talk about it here. So it wasn't necessarily so much like I'm in the mood. But then with pulling in an outsider to be the king for a period of time, that provided enough levity for me to enjoy the film. So seeing an outsider deal with the politics and stuff, just yeah, I really did enjoy this. So, like I said, I think Nameless Gangster is a better like movie as a movie, but I do like the story of Masquerade more. So yeah, I think it sags a little bit, um, but I just really like the story, and so Masquerade is what I'm presenting as my number one.
Yeah, I'm definitely intrigued by the what you have said about it.
Mhm. Also, for those who are living in the present day of the year of our Lord 2025, he is the voice of the demon god in K-pop Demon Hunters.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
yeah, so that's his now most popular role in for American people. I was gonna try to say the name, but then I realized I'd butcher it because I don't really remember it. So, because I can't remember like, is that sound there or not? Whatever. Anyways, but yeah, so that yeah, he's a great actor. Personally, I feel like for K-pop Demon Hunters, I feel a little mixed with him in that role, but just because I feel mixed about him in that role, I don't think that is anything against him as an actor. I just don't think that was the best role for him. But he's a great actor, and I really want to see more movies with him in it. Also, I think one other popular movie he was in was the Magnificent Seven. I think it is that released around
Okay.
this time. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
the
haven't seen that
Western.
movie, but yeah, I believe he's in that one as well.
Okay.
But yeah, fun surprise because I think no, just this. Masquerade wasn't a movie I was familiar with. Probably something I'd seen in name, but I hadn't really known and it was not on my radar at all. So very happy to have found it. And
You know me. I've not seen a heard of it. But moving on to my number one, we have yet another DC animated film, and this one is Batman The Dark Knight Returns Part 1. This is an adaptation of the Frank Miller graphic novel, The Dark Knight Returns, following the story of an older Batman who comes out of retirement uh, because his city's just in such terrible disrepair. Um, a lot of stuff, themes. I just like it because it's cool. I like the visuals. I like the concept. I think it's a pretty cool idea. This is back still when DC Animation still had good quality in its animation. Um, you know, yeah, I'll leave it there. Let you
Okay.
experience it for yourself. Uh, Obviously, lots of influence. Half of the premise goes to The Dark Knight Rises. Half of the visuals goes to Zack Snyder's depiction of Batman. Um, that's more part two for next month. But yeah, I just like this idea of an older Batman trying to rediscover himself again, learning to be Batman and beating up stuff. This is also a pretty dark film, so uh,
Yeah.
warning. It's one of the more darker films, even though it's PG-13. So I'll let you know that.
Yeah, this is one of the DC animated films that I have actually seen. I haven't seen it in many years, but I do remember finding it very interesting. And yeah, I mean it's an iconic comic book, and so it's nice to have a high quality direct adaptation of it like this.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Also, just one of my favorite of like the DC animated films in general. I own the deluxe edition, so I watch both
Okay.
parts together. But
Yeah.
I I think as an overall product, I might like part one the best. So
Okay.
Yeah, I haven't seen it yet. I was looking into it because I think like digitally, I see it available as like the deluxe as both parts together. So yeah, so that means I don't know. Sometimes I just think about Letterboxd. It's still separate parts, which is fine. So I
I
just
believe they have the deluxe edition listed as a separate film on Letterboxd.
which they'll probably remove in 3 days or something.
Yeah, who knows?
well, let's sour the mood with our least favorite films.
Yeah. So my least favorite, I have to preface this by saying this isn't actually my least favorite. I just didn't really want to talk about Beverly Hills Chihuahua 3 because I don't have anything interesting to say about that movie. That wasn't already said on Bingy Barbie. Um, so yeah, I went with one that is not my least favorite, but I feel like we can't do this episode and not bring up. And this is Spring Breakers, written and directed by Harmony Korine. And it is about a group of college girls who decide to fund their dream spring break trip by robbing a restaurant. And they get tangled up with a violent drug dealer. And yeah, this is a wild experience that at times plays like a particularly debaucherous dubstep music video and at times plays like a Terrence Malick art film. It is, I cannot describe it. Anyone who has seen it will understand. How do you explain this movie to someone who has not seen it? It is both everything that you expect it to be based on the poster and the marketed material, and also nothing like what you expect it to be based on the poster and the marketing material. It is wild. I dislike so much about this film, but it has such a weird and idiosyncratic feel to it that I can't hate it. Like, this is exactly the film that Corinne wanted to make. It is communicated so well, even though I didn't enjoy the experience of watching it. Like, there is no movie out there that is quite like this. Um, it's just, it's wild. It doesn't. There are scenes of like slow motion, scantily clad women dancing on the beach to dubstep music, and there are scenes of like seagulls flying as someone narrates about the beauty of life. There's guns and violence and people calling their grandma to say how good of a time they're having on spring break and how much it has changed their life. It's wild. If you have
Yeah.
not seen this, go and see this just for the experience alone. It is there again, there is nothing out there quite like this.
I know this by reputation. I've not seen it. I don't really care
Yeah.
to see it, so yeah.
This was an infamous one because it stars among other people Vanessa Hudgens and Selena Gomez in sort of this is still when they were more known for their Disney Channel stuff, and this is about as far from Disney Channel as you can get within the mainstream. So this had sort of an infamous reputation for that reason, at least among sort of the circles I was in as someone who was a bit younger when this came out.
Yeah.
And yeah, again, it makes no sense, but is so fascinating. It isn't the worst of the year, but I feel like we can't end this podcast without at least mentioning it.
I haven't seen it. I think I had known of its existence, and then kind of in the past year or two, it's kind of known as like A24's first movie. So then I
Yeah.
start knowing it as that. So been curious about it. One day, it's in that 4,000. It's in that list of 4,000.
Speaking of things we can't not talk about,
Yeah. So I'm making a very bold statement. by putting The Avengers as my least favorite film. Um, Again, like I mentioned earlier, there's I have that top few movies I love and I wish no one touches, and the top few movies I hate that I hope everyone hates. The Avengers does fall in that 99%. It's okay if you like this film, that's okay, but I don't really like this film. I guess this is one of the superhero films that I'm a little more opinionated about. Um, and it also might come as a surprise after I said, "Oh, The Dark Knight Rises and Amazing Spider-Man, those are fine movies. You guys are silly for not liking them." And then here I am saying that the culture changing movie Avengers is the worst. Um, it's so first time I watched it, I'm just I got into the MCU for Iron Man. And so I was excited to watch this movie for Iron Man, and I watched it for Iron Man, and I got what I wanted out of the movie, basically. But then, kind of after like future watches, I just didn't care for it more and more. So this is the basic outline of the movie. Our characters meet, they argue, they fight bad guys. They argue. They fight bad guys. That's the outline of the movie. And it's just not really. There's just nothing there, in my opinion. Like, I saw a tweet after the Fantastic Four movie release, like, wow, the Avengers were really coworkers. And this is, I feel like, a great example of that. They just had a job to do. They hated each other. Oh, we're being attacked, or New York's being attacked. I guess we have to save everybody or ourselves. And they do the job, which is great. You have to do what you got to do. But I don't really feel like the story's that compelling, if there's even a story. It's not that much of a story. We probably will talk about it. I really like Age of Ultron. I think there's more like a moral dilemma that's going on and questions that are being asked as they're trying to figure things out. I don't think Age of Ultron is the best movie of all time, but I really like Age of Ultron as it actually has something more tangible for me to wrestle or think about. And the Avengers, it's just, again, I know I say I go into superhero movies with a low bar, but this kind of just goes under that bar of I do enjoy some action here and there, but it's not necessarily like the thing that I'm like desperately wanting when I want to watch a movie. So I'm not necessarily even like enthralled by what I'm watching. I'm just seeing New York getting destroyed again, which again, this was like the first time in the MCU, but on rewatch, I'm like, again. There's not a lot here. And then if I want to nitpick, which everyone has probably nitpicked this, Captain America's suit is not very flattering. So yeah, there's some fun to be had here. And again, if you really like this movie, awesome. I'm really glad you do. I just don't get it. It's my least favorite Avengers film.
I think it's fine. I enjoy it.
Yeah, it's enjoyable. I definitely enjoyed it when it came out. But in terms of a VFX standpoint, this is the best the Hulk has ever looked. And maybe even Iron Man, debatably. It's also just one that proved the formula could work of like starting off with these characters and then them meeting together for like a film. So a connected universe, this was like one of the first ones in film at least to prove that it could work. And that again leads to another possibility why it could be in the worst films here, because it like led to everybody wanting to do the shared universe and none of them really working. And also this also started the stupid Marvel quipization of comedy in the films, and so then every film just had to have that same comedic style. In fact, this probably ruined so many films, but it being the first one It's pretty fun. Is it not the best? Probably not, but it's enjoyable. It's for its time. It did what it did.
Yeah, I think it is better than a lot of the things that it begot. And nothing will beat for me the excitement of being 13 and seeing this
Mm,
in the theater. And
yeah.
nothing like this. I had no context for, like, again, nothing like this had ever existed before on that level. So yeah, I don't know. I think it's good. I don't
Again,
think it's necessarily a masterpiece, but
mhm.
I think it is very well made.
I'll also
Ish.
clarify again. I watched the MCU for the first time in 2021. So I was aware of the hype of Infinity War and Endgame. So
Yeah.
this when I watched it, it wasn't a new concept. So not that I'd seen a movie like it before, but it didn't feel so. I don't have that nostalgia, that excitement that most everyone that saw it in 2012 have had. Whatever, I can't remember my sentence. Also, I'll say, John mentioned, that this has inspired what Hollywood today is. I didn't put it here of what it inspired. I simply put it on here for what I think of the movie as it is. Yeah, I will probably find myself rewatching this in the future. I don't hate this movie. I guess it's more like I feel like it's severely overrated, and it probably is due to nostalgia. And there's not a lot I find from it. But again, it for the good that it did bring, virtually the whole Infinity Saga, it's a great stepping stone. See what it gave us. And yeah, there are moments in here to be enjoyed, but yeah, it is my least favorite Avengers film, and arguably one of my least favorite Marvel films.
And that is a hot take. Um,
MCU, but yeah,
yes.
yeah.
And
I,
something
I
that's
haven't ranked I haven't ranked my MCU movies in a while, so I don't know. It's been a couple of years. And I wonder if some of the recent fairs would. I don't know, because
yes.
we would also talk about TV shows. That's just too much. Anyways, John.
So moving on to my least favorite of the year, we have Battleship, which is a film that we have discussed on Binging Barbie. This
Yep.
is a weird one that Hasbro decided to make. A modern battleship, a game about these World War II battleships and their
Oh, I didn't
decision.
realize it's based off the game.
Yes, it is
Yes,
based on the game.
Oh my gosh! Oh
yes,
my gosh!
yes. It's based off of the game and their decision. It's like, how do we make this into the film? Aliens. So yeah, like, all right, even besides the ridiculous thing, it's just not that very well made. It's like diet Transformers, but not great Transformers. It's generic and just not great. It's like, it's again, listen to our episode for more in-depth discussions about what we said, but it is a weird choice to do this film, and it's not even made that really well. So yeah.
Yeah, I recently, earlier this year, rewatched Greyhound, the Tom Hanks film, and as I said on the episode of Binging Barbie, that is a much better Battleship movie than Battleship. Go and watch Greyhound instead.
Yes. Yes.
I, I'm kind of. I just didn't know. That's crazy.
It is one of the weirder. Again, it's very like post Transformers,
Yeah.
Hasbro looking for another big blockbuster success along those lines.
Dang.
Yeah.
Well, I hate to say that it just seems intriguing to me, the fact it's based off the game, and then hearing that you throw in aliens, I'm like, what? But I can't deny I'm intrigued. Knowing it's based off the game, even if it's a terrible movie,
Hmm.
I almost feel like I have to know. That's just crazy.
I wish it wasn't. Yeah, I wish it
can't
was as
imagine it
interesting
as
as
a
you
movie.
think it is, because it's
Yeah.
not as interesting as you
It is.
are thinking it is.
It is not interesting at all. It has Rihanna in it.
Which also, I'm like, she's in this?
Yeah.
Weird that she didn't do a song for this soundtrack, but she did for the Smurfs soundtrack. But that doesn't have anything to do with anything. Yeah,
Oh, man.
yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm adding it to my watch list. I'll probably hate it.
I mean,
I
yeah.
just, yeah.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of movies like this I add to my watch list. This, I'm just mind blown. Like, how does one look at the game and just say, that's a movie? But I guess, you know, we got a bunch of those announcements last year of all these different games that are going to be movies one day.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
Uno movie. With
Uno.
Kid Cudi or something.
The game of life. Monopoly.
At least that has like a narrative to.
That's
Sure.
true. That's true.
Sure. Yeah.
Uno.
Reverse.
Like, why?
Just the movie goes backwards.
Plus 4.
Oh, man.
4 extra screens. Let's change the color filter. Anyway. So, yeah. That's what we have here for 2012. And pretty excited to get into the next few. One, we're getting close to the end of like this time period, but also we're entering what I would have to say is my favorite era of just stuff. It's like
Okay.
it's just life. Just like the next 3 years, like yes, we're still in the golden age of like the wild west of YouTube, and the internet, before all of the stupidity happens. Movies, you know, we're getting into some of our favorite films. This is still before my pre-Ponies time period, so it's like some great stuff is happening. So there's a lot to look forward to, at least for me. So yeah. How about you guys?
Yeah, I'm curious. I don't have a complete list yet for 2013, but we'll see how that all shakes out.
I've watched 16 movies from 2013, so I have a couple more movies in my honorable mentions. I would like to watch a couple more, but yeah, so we'll see how things go.
You have like options.
I'll have options this time.
Yeah. All right. Well, with that, thank you guys for listening, and we'll see you all next time. Bye.
Bye.